Okay. Right, this will be an interesting one if we can make this look good. So I'm going to make it text. There's that squeak. Okay, folks, I've learned what the name of the CEO of Konica Minolta is, who's situated in Tokyo, Japan. His name is Shoei Yamana. So Shoei Yamana runs the show. Haha, pun intended. And he's the fucking asshole behind the whole of Konica Minolta, that bastard. So now Shoei, I know your name, you fucking idiot. Well, now I'm going to shame you. So you're going to hear your name being mentioned on my videos, my YouTube and my Facebook videos, more often than you'd like to hear. And it's not going to be flattering. It's going to be downright brutally honest. And it's going to crush your fucking spirit, you fucking idiot. You're going to feel so sad, so fucking scared because, hey, finally your name is out there. Finally we know who you are, your name. Of course, I don't know who you are personally. Why would I give a flying fuck anyway? So you're the man behind Konica Minolta. And yes, judging from your fucking LinkedIn page and whatever else I've looked up on you on the internet, well, yes, you know your English very, very well. Congratulations. Now I know that you'll understand the nasty obscenities that I have to say about you and money and whatever. So now you know, be prepared, fuckwit. Be prepared. Because you're going to have a rough ride watching my videos. Fuckwit. If you fucking care about watching on YouTube, oh, maybe YouTube's a bit too nerdy for you, mate. Do you know what the word nerd means? Well, I'm pretty sure you probably do. Not that I'd give a flying fuck, except I want you to understand my English because I want you to know what a fucking asshole you really are. And I want to make you feel really, really down on yourself. So there you go. That's your name, Shoei Yamana. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. My Japanese, I don't even know Japanese. You've got one score up from me is that you can speak English as well as Japanese. Well, I'm an idiot. I can only speak English. I can't speak hardly any Japanese. So you got one thing, you're one jump ahead in that respect. But I don't respect you. So now we're just going to see how this turns. Oh, fuck. See, this machine's stupid. I'm going to cancel this. Now it's printing out. I mean, seriously, I don't... Whatever. I just fucked it up. Anyway. I don't have any respect for you, Shoei, if that's your name. Your name is like the name that appears on the back of people's helmets. There's a company called Shoei who make crash helmets. So I can remember that name really easily, even though my memory is a load of shit. It took a while to learn your name, just a little bit, to remind myself who you are. And basically, yeah, we're just going to throw this on the floor, folks. But everyone, folks, you all know the name of the CEO. His name's Shoei Yamana. Belt that into your memory, folks. Remember him, and remember what a fucking asshole who created this, who authorised, should I say, the release of a machine like this. And you can hear that low-pitched squeak, folks. Shoei should be held personally responsible. So there we go. We all know his name. We're going to name him and shame him and run his name through the mud along with Konica Minolta itself. We're going to start with black and yellow. So there you go, folks. You know who this fuckwit is. Look him up on LinkedIn. Look him up on Facebook. I think he's on Facebook. I haven't looked him up there, but at least we know what Fruit Loop we're dealing with. What a fucking idiot. Anyway, vertical, we're going to make horizontal, we're going to make horizontal. How big are we going to make this? 100 or 200 and something? Hey, what are we doing? 100. Oh, fuck. See, this machine's stupid design. But, I just don't give a shit what Shoei thinks of my insults to him. I've been bullied myself, so I fucking am over it, and I don't have faith that Shoei is a nice bloke. Judging by the rubbish that Konica Minolta produce, I don't know how he treats his staff directly, but there's just a load of bullshit going on around with the name Konica Minolta. It's like it's not as environmentally friendly or socially responsible as they'd like us to believe. I mean, they donate things sometimes, they do some small acts of charity, but it hasn't changed the world. It hasn't made the world a better place for everyone. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. And the thing is, the proof of this so-called philanthropy is in how many people have been saved from poverty and how many people will live quality lives, just like most people do, or maybe I don't know what portion of the world is suffering in abject poverty, but it's a lot. And Konica Minolta, they talk about, I'm just trying to think what I'm going to say about Konica. It's got to be accurate and honest, what I have to say. So that's what we've just done. But basically, I read an article to do with David Cook, which is the Australian managing director of Konica Minolta. So he talks about making sure that the shirts that the technicians and whoever else wears are made from sustainable human rights resources instead of slave labour. But the thing is, he doesn't talk about where the fucking photocopier comes from. He doesn't talk about the fucking photocopier. He just talks about the clothing, which is trivial compared with this block of, parts of it are made in China, parts of it are made in Vietnam, and basically they're third world countries where modern day slavery has a foothold, a strong foothold. And he doesn't mention changing the labour force with the people who actually build these machines, and that's just not good enough, David. It's just I know what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to make Konica Minolta look good so you can make more sales. It's all about sales, folks. They think that they can they can just tinker around the edges and think that if they do some tiny piece of environmental good or human rights good, that they're good people, that Konica Minolta are good, and people will love Konica Minolta. But there's a lot of people who just believe this shit and buy their product. I only bought their product because I really needed to. But basically, when I just laugh at the various articles that I read about Konica Minolta and its so-called philanthropy and social responsibility, environmental responsibility, and it just doesn't add up. And that's just not good enough, Konica. If these machines only last 5 years, well, what are you going to do with them? It's going to be, you don't talk about recycling the actual equipment. So what point are you trying to make, Konica? You're just trying to, you just give us a few good human rights, whatever. You guys appear to try and make yourselves look good, but you don't actually do much in the way of practical things, and basically worrying about what the technician fleet or the technician team actually wear is nowhere near as critical as what goes into one of these. What materials? Where do they come from? What about the people? Are they being underpaid to put these things together, these photocopiers? So you just like to focus on little things. You feel like a warm and fuzzy sensation inside when you do something that you think is good, but it's not good enough. We have not alleviated world poverty. And I just have no faith in you folks. No faith. I just do. Use your fucking equipment. There's no other good equipment around. This is probably the best shit there is on the market. So I wonder how all the other companies measure up. Companies like Xerox and Ricoh, who I also give the middle finger. So yeah, if only I could fully research this shit. It's so hard, like, no, whatever. Now that looks interesting. I'm thinking I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. But I just wonder, what goes on inside those photocopier factories. So I just don't know what actually goes on. It would be an interesting thing to see what actually happens. But I don't know. Whatever. I'm just trying to concentrate on making this look good now. Let's see how that looks. It says, yeah, Sponta. That looks quite nice, actually. Okay, right. Let's see. We're doing a dual colour job here, folks. So let's see how we can make... Oh, we've got to do another enlargement. We've got to make it a little bit bigger. We're just nibbling up and nibbling down at the moment. So it's going to be 100 and... No, not 3. It's meant to be 130. I think that's the amount we're going to need, this in-between amount. This is going to be a prolongated demo. But anyway, I just haven't got faith in Konica Minolta's ethics. And I just think their ethics are just minimal. They just make themselves look good so that people buy their product. And I just can see right through that bullshit. I don't see a world that's changed. And there was an interesting advertising or marketing style article that I read about Konica Minolta, and it was to do with, let me try and think what it was first, sorry folks. It was about saying that the future is for everyone. That the future is for everyone. So everyone gets a bright future in this life. But that's an example of bullshit. Marketing. Advertising, I screamed. Sorry, folks. But I get very angry. But basically, there are people dying in all countries around the world. People are dying of... There's all sorts of problems. Like there's not enough work going around because a lot of the big companies, the car manufacturers who have become really greedy, have sent Australian car manufacturing offshore and making it cheaper and nastier. So we've lost large portions of industry to overseas people. They now manufacture our cars completely. So there's no such thing as an Australian-built car. So jobs have been lost. And you can't, in this world, you cannot live without a proper income. You cannot live without a proper job. And these big corporations are paying people peanuts to work. And for some reason they've become casualised. So these big corporations have got to be held through account. They're killing off the amount of work that's available. So if you haven't got a job, folks, you're screwed. You're fucking screwed. Or you might be working in slave conditions. Even in Australia, we're starting to see slave conditions, like the Amazon logistics centre, where heaps of, Amazon, not Amazon River or the Amazon forest, but that company called Amazon to do with shopping, online shopping and books and that. Well, they've created a slave shop in Australia. I think it's in Melbourne, where if you've got to do if you're working on a casual basis, you're basically a part of what's called the gig economy. And basically, if you don't get enough work done in a certain time frame, you could lose your unstable job. So people who lose their jobs and have no work or not enough work can die. And this is what big corporations do, is they're creating all this slave labour. So that's why I'm angry at the rich as a general rule. I hate the rich because if they, and another thing, another company that we have here in Australia is called Coles. Coles have also opened up a new I don't know if it's fully automated, but it's going to displace heaps of people in their warehouse. They've got a new warehouse that's automated. So we're losing more jobs to the fucking rich pigs. The rich pigs save money when they automate things. And I'm not totally against automation, but I think it's disgusting that we're being forced, when we walk into Coles and other shops, that we have to use self-checkouts. I don't like self-checkouts. I like to be served by a person, not a fucking dumb machine which doesn't work properly and you have to get people there to help you anyway. But that's really sad because most people would prefer to walk up to a checkout operator. And we need to have more work, and we got to restrict automation to the areas of work which are potentially or are a danger, like handling chemicals in a chemical plant. You don't want people handling those shitters. So that's an example where automation can be liberating and produce a cleaner and safer work environment, but not what Coles is doing, not what Amazon is doing. They can go fuck themselves, along with Konica fucking Minolta.